So hi everyone, welcome to this session on citation practices and research, and particularly this is going to be a workshop on how to use Zotero. And I hope you've all managed to download the software and the connectors and everything. If there's any issue, please reach out to me on private message. So just to start off, this is one module of a larger program on research writing for undergraduate students that I'm designing as part of my program design course. The content is therefore aimed at an undergraduate audience, like a first-year undergrad audience, but I'm testing it here with an audience. Most of you might already be seasoned researchers, so it might be a little repetitive for you. But in any case, if you're working with Zotero for the first time, which I think some of you are, this session definitely promises to be useful. Great. So the agenda for today is three-pronged. First thing we'll talk about, we'll think about why citation referencing is considered necessary academic practice. And we'll also think about what we consider good citation practices and why they are considered good citation practices. And then we'll also look at why it makes sense to use a citation manager. You know, the setup cost might look like a bit of an investment. You know, it feels like you have to understand this whole new system, but the payoff is truly huge, and I'll try to convince you regarding that. And also talk about why Zotero is one of the better options among the other multiple options that you have for reference management. And the second part is about me demonstrating how to add items, how to use Zotero and Word for in-text citations, and how to do bibliography that is linked to the citations that you've put in the Word document. And then finally, we'll go to a practice activity, and I will send out a worksheet and you'll work in teams of two to finish the activity. Right. So I'm sure you all know that as undergrads, we were hounded by our professors in the name of academic integrity. You know, we had to cite, you had to stay away from plagiarism and all of that. But having to cite or reference can be tedious and frustrating, especially when you're running up against not just one deadline, and if you were an undergrad, multiple deadlines at the same time. So it might be helpful for us to find a why, right? Why do we need to cite at all? Can we think of a few answers? Why do you think one needs to cite in research writing?
I mean, I think it's generally a good practice, and it also shows that you're not making up a lot of things. You're sort of following what has already been said about the subject.
Absolutely. Anything else? I see somebody messaging. It's a great way to return to your sources. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's a great point, Avantika. So one thing is you are showing yourself to be in conversation with other writers and researchers in the field. It's also a great way for you to keep track of what you've been researching on. Okay, so I put down four main sort of reasons over here. One is locating or situating your research, which is, again, that point about you keeping yourself in conversation with other researchers in the field. And then, of course, acknowledging and crediting the source of your ideas, which is just good practice, you know, just crediting the people who may have taken the time and effort to come up with an idea and put it together in a publication and put it out there in the world. And the third point is about maintaining credibility for yourself, right? If you want to be looked at as a credible researcher, it's the way to go right now. You have to cite, you have to reference whatever you've used for your research. And then finally, it supports future research. You being able to cite not only helps you go back to the sources that you used, it also helps other researchers go back to the sources that you used, and that really can be a launchpad for them to continue your research and the research that happened before also. The two of these are, the second point and the third point are basically just to keep, just sort of helping legitimize ourselves and other researchers, other fellow academics, right? Just to keep the academic system running, to keep our own credentials within the academic systems running. And we usually cite sources that we feel are credible to us. But that doesn't really mean that standard citation practices that are so strongly expected of students are always perfect. They can also be imperfect. right? Some sources get cited more for various reasons. Journal articles might be considered to be more legitimate as opposed to, say, blog posts, but blog posts sometimes can also be primary sources for research. So I want to hear maybe a flag of a question. Who gets cited more and why? Can you think of some reasons?
Yeah. I would say white males get cited more because they have more, their voice has more legitimacy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we end up citing the ones that have already been cited so many times because we are constantly told that the papers we cite should already have, say, a minimum number of citations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Correct. Anyone else? Any other reasons that you can think of? Something on the chat box. Known professors, absolutely. Sometimes individuals have this charisma. Individual academics rack up so much charisma, and so you feel like anything they've written is the word of God. Mm-hmm.
So, places where you think have stronger methods of peer reviewing or checking.
Right, institutions, right? Institutions. Are you hinting at that, Shefali?
Yes, and maybe even the journals where you think has, where you think a better process has led to a paper being published.
Absolutely, absolutely. All of these are reasons why some people, some papers, some individuals, some academics, some disciplines gain more visibility in the academic world. And so you can look at this thing that I've made here. Visibility, which is what Anne said, you see something so many times and you feel like that needs to be cited more. Institutions, as Shefali mentioned, some institutions have more power, so you feel like if something comes out of the University of Chicago Press, then it must be perfect. And then charisma, individual charisma, with which Avantika said, individual academics might have certain level of quote unquote respect in the world, so in the academic world, so you might feel like you need to cite them more. Also narrative. Sometimes you tend to cite things that fit in with your ideological position, with the narratives, the worldviews that you believe in. Finally, personal biases, right? Very, very individual personal biases, and also discipline bias, right? Sometimes you feel like, if a particular topic or a particular question has been looked at from, say, the discipline of economics, maybe economics has more hard data to show. Maybe it has more quantitative, it uses more quantitative methods, and therefore you feel like this question that has been tackled from this discipline's perspective is worth citing more, right? Anyway, regardless of these multiple issues with citation systems as they exist right now, we need to move on. We obviously need to learn how to work with the system at the moment. So bearing that in mind, let's get to the practicalities of how to work with Zotero. Work with citation managers in general. I'd like to ask you guys what you have been using to cite or reference your research papers so far. How do you do it? If you don't use a citation manager, or if you do, you can just let me know what citation managers you use. Anyone?
I do sometimes end up using Zotero, but then I use it more to organize my sources rather than to actually integrate it into my writing. Like I end up copying the citations rather than.
Right. Shefali says Google Sheets. Great. Anne says online citation generators. Okay. Okay, I'm sure you all have your own systems of working with citation generators, working with Sheets, for instance, or just using Zotero as a library instead of integrating it with your writing process. But well, the citation managers, not just Zotero, are useful to do a multiple things at once, right? You don't just use the citation manager to organize your resources you use it as a library to organize your resources. You can also do collaborative work, right? If one or two of you, more than one of you is working on a project and you want to, create a combined repository of resources, then you can use citation managers to do collaborative research work, basically. To track your research interests, like for me, for instance, I've used Zotero for a while, and I can see over the years how my research interests have evolved, what topics I'd been working on, say in 2019, what topics I'm working on right now. And it's a very good way for me to link my current research interest with what I worked on in the past. And I think it's very productive in terms of creating interdisciplinary work, because I've jumped disciplines and it really helps me track my research interests. And then, of course, write and cite, which is by far the biggest use for Zotero. When you're writing, you can cite as you go, and you can also link um, your citations to your references, which I will demonstrate, and which is actually very useful. So this is why my personal favorite is Zotero, and I'd like to introduce you all to the wonders of Zotero. But more concretely, I have a few reasons why I'd recommend Zotero over other options such as EndNote, BibTeX, Mendeley, and so on. The first reason is that it's free and open source. So it was originally conceptualized and created at George Mason University by a bunch of researchers who wanted a system like this. And it's currently run by a nonprofit organization. So it's not shady, they're not after your data. And it's also free and open source, anyone can use it. And secondly, connectors, the connectors that Zotero comes with are very, very powerful, even with non-PDF content. So it's not just picking up on journal articles, right? It also has a very good system for picking up metadata from, say, reports that don't have metadata in them, or say blog posts or YouTube videos, and so on, right? And then, of course, it supports group research. Researchers, no matter which corner of the world you're in, you can just work on Zotero on a research project. Makes things so much easier. And then multiple citation styles. I have not had to think about MLA, AP, Chicago, whatever. I have not had to, memorize that format at all. You don't need to worry about that. Zotero will take care of it for you. And then it supports web sync, so you can use it wherever. You can use it on the go, basically. You can sync all of your resources on the web. So even if you don't have your laptop with you, you can view all your resources online. Great. So with that out of the way, let's get started. I will first talk about how to add items on Zotero, right? And let me just quickly go to my Zotero tab. Okay, so there are three main ways in which you can add items on Zotero, which is by using the browser connector, which you must have already installed, using the DOI or ISBN. DOI is the digital object identifier, that unique link you'll get for journal articles. So books have a unique identifier called the ISBN, and journal articles have a unique identifier called the DOI. So if you manage to get hold of the DOI or the ISBN, you can use that directly to add items. And finally, if you already have a PDF on your computer, you can just drag and drop. I'll show it now, and I'll make it more clear if it's not clear now. Okay, so I've created the collection, and now I'm going to take you through this Word document, right? So there are three ways, as I said. I'm currently working on EdTech for refugees, so I'm going to use articles related to that. So using the browser connector, so I'm opening this link, and that link is right here. And this is the article that I mentioned, right? And you can see on top here, there's this little icon, right? So if you click on it, it will automatically add the article to your collection. So you can go back here, and then you can see what the EdTech experience in refugee camps can teach us in times of school closure. And you can see that the item type has been found out as well. Journal article, the title, author, everything has been identified. Now, there is a second way in which you can do it, which is by using the DOI or the the unique identifier. So the DOI is right here. You can see the DOI, right? Usually I'm copying the DOI and going back to Zotero. And can you see this little icon here? This little icon,
Yes.
magic wand. So I put the DOI right here and then I hit enter. That's it. I get it. Right? Now, the third way to do it is by using a PDF. Now, for instance, if I already have a PDF on my computer, then what I do is I just go to that PDF. So for instance, this is the article. I just go to that PDF and I take that and drag and drop here. And then you can see once again that it has been recognized. So those are the 3 different ways in which you can do it. Now, these are for journal articles. I'll also show how to do it for books and other things. I'm just deleting these first 2. Okay, great. Now we can also do it, as I said, for books. For instance, adding a book or an edited collection. I have an ISBN for a book, for instance. I'm going to copy that ISBN. Again, where do I go to use the ISBN? To the magic wand thingy. And then that's it. I get it. Now, suppose I want to use, again, browser connector. I go to this. This is the book that I want to add. Here you can see that the icon has changed to a book. Previously, it was like a paper. Now the icon has changed to a book. So you can just use it to save to Zotero. That's it. And then it's done. Right? Now, same magical. Yeah. Now, finally, if you want to use, say, drag and drop option, you can also do that, which is by going back to your.
Shruti, could you please show me the previous part again once more?
Yep, sure. The
If you
previous
don't
part, I just had an ISBN copied, right? And so I clicked on this magic wand thingy right here. And then I copied and pasted the ISBN. And then I clicked enter. And so I got it.
Oh,
right?
thank you. Yeah.
Right? Okay, so I have multiple copies of the same thing. I'm going to move that to trash. Great. Okay, so now we have 2 books. Now this book, now you can see sometimes the PDF automatically gets added, sometimes it doesn't. In the case of my original journal article, it got added automatically because it was open source. But in the case of the book, it was not open source, so the PDF didn't get added. So that's an important distinction that I have to make. So if you can connect your university library to your account, to your Chrome or to your Safari browser, automatically, if a university has access, even the moment you click on that icon, that PDF also will get downloaded. So you don't need to do much more. Okay, so that's regarding books, right? What about book chapters? So for instance, I have a book chapter here. In this same book, using in transnational perspectives on innovation in teaching and learning technologies. So I want to add only just this chapter. So I click on this icon once again. But sometimes Zotero, as powerful as it is, sometimes it may not recognize that it is not a book and that it is actually a book chapter. So in that case, what you need to do is you should go to item type right here. I hope you can see that. Item type right here and change it to book section instead, right? What happened here is the title got removed. So once again, I have to do a little bit of manual editing. I have to take the title from the book's title that got wrongly recognized, paste it there, and then take the original title of the book and add it to the book's title. So some manual editing might need to be done if Zotero is not powerful enough for you to, gather all the metadata properly. Now, so we did book section, we did book, we did journal article. Now we'll move on to more more trickier things, right? So for instance, there's this report that I found that does not have any metadata, but I want to add it. I already have a PDF of it. Okay, so how do I, one second. Yeah, so I already have a PDF of it downloaded here. So what do I do to ensure that it gets recognized properly? I just drag and drop it, as we've already seen. Now, dragging and dropping is not enough. So what happens? Can you see that? Can you see if any data has been recognized? No, right?
No.
Can you see anything on the right-hand side?
It appears very different from what we've seen before.
Yeah.
There
So
is-
what happened here is that the metadata has not been recognized. Zotero has not done a good job with this. Again, in this case, you have to do manually. For this, what you need to do, and this is a very important step, I hope you can take note of this, is to create a parent item. The PDF has remained as a PDF without any icon that is very unique to Zotero, as you can see here. So what you have to do here is right click, then create parent item. And once you create parent item, you hit on manual entry. And here you have to enter everything manually. For instance, this is a report, right? So I make it a report. Then the title for this, I need to find out from, I can also open it directly on Zotero, by the way. So you can see, I copy and paste the title and I paste it here, right? The author, I just go to the PDF once again, and then I search author. And I can see that it's Dr. Nigin Dahia. So what I do here is I put Dahia Nigin, right? Place, again, it's in Bonn, Germany. So Bonn, Germany. Okay. Institution, once again. It's this German institution. I'm just going to copy paste the same thing. And then, of course, date is February 28, 2016. I put that right there. Right? And I think we're done, right? That's it. So you can see how different it looks now. It has all the metadata, it has a good title, it has the author's name, it has the year as well. Now, last two things before we move on to the practice session, which is to learn how to add a website. So this is a website that I wanted to add. Again, very simple. I use the browser connector, save to Zotero, and it's added. Omo Eva Karina, right? So I add it and then it's done. Then finally, how to add a YouTube video. YouTube video I'm adding, again, using the browser connector. That's it. And then we're done. So can you see how beautifully this thing has turned out for us? It has all the creators' names, it has all the years, and it has all the titles and the kinds of articles these are. Is this a book? Is it a book chapter? Is it a journal article? So all of that you can see. Now, so that's about adding items to Zotero, right? So you can do it in 3 different ways. What are the 3 different ways, if anyone can remember?
Yeah, we saw the browser connector. We saw a manual PDF that you could add.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember it. Oh, ISBN or
the magical wand.
DOI.
Yep, the magical wand. Great. So that's about adding. Now we'll think about how to view things on Zotero, right? So for instance, I can actually click on this PDF. Zotero actually doubles up as a PDF viewer. So I can click on the PDF and I can actually highlight things that I want to highlight, right? So I can go through my article and highlight a bunch of things that I think are important. I can also add notes, right? All of that, I can add notes. So you can use it as a normal PDF viewer, but why this I recommend is when you see this. So I right click on this, and then I go to add note from annotations. And here's where the magic happens. All your highlights come on the right-hand side, along with the citations, right? So whenever you want to just copy paste a quotation, right? All you have to do is, if you've already highlighted it, you get a summary of all your highlights, and you can just use the highlights and copy paste in your, yeah. Yeah. So that's pretty magical, right? So, and it will really change your experience of writing. Okay. So that's about how to use Zotero as a PDF viewer. So you know how to use it as a PDF viewer, you know how to annotate, you know how to extract annotations. The best part about this is you can also organize it according to your, according to the title, according to the creator. You click on title, you'll get alphabetical order of the title. Click on creators, you get alphabetical order of the creators. You click on year, which I think is personally useful. You get all the articles organized according to their chronology, right? The newest ones first and the oldest ones last. That will help me think about, what are the newest developments in the field, as opposed to what were people writing earlier on. So that's another useful thing that I think people should know. Okay. Now, there is the final thing. So we've done adding items, we've done viewing items. Final thing, and I think this will also change, this will also blow your minds, is the in-text citations, right? So again, I've put together a set of resources on technology-supported education interventions for forcibly displaced populations. So what I'm trying to do is cite, right? So let's remember some of the authors here: Tobin, Omoeva, Maitland, Jean-Francois, Boschik, and etc., etc. So we'll see now how to in-text cite them. So I want to cite, say here, I want to cite Tobin et al. What I do is, if I've already had the Zotero connector installed, what I do is I go to Zotero right here. I hope you can see that. And then I go to add citation. And then you can see this little bubble come up. All I do is I type Tobin, and then that thing comes up, and then I click on it. Maybe I want to cite page number 11 from this article. So I left click on it again, and then I hit enter. I hit enter once again, and you can see, can you see this?
Oh, this is so cool.
Yeah, so that citation has been added. Now, for instance, I want to cite the Learning Innovation book. Once again, add citation, Learning Innovation. I forgot the author's name, so I'm gonna type in words. Sometimes you forget the author's name, doesn't matter, right? You just need to type in some keywords and you'll find the answers. So I want to cite Jean-Francois' book, for instance. I don't need to cite a page number, so I leave it as it is. And that's it, right? Here, maybe I want to cite the webinar, the YouTube video. I go webinar, and then I click, and that's it. I get it. Okay, here I've highlighted in yellow. Jean-Francois' edited collection also brings together articles that highlight whatever. Here, because the author's name has already come, I don't want to get the name again. I just want to have the page number or the year. Left click on it, and then you can see that there is an option to omit author, right? So I omit the author.
How did you get that option?
I just left click on the
Okay.
citation. And then I type in, say, page number 13 once again, or 130, whatever. I omit author, and then and that's it. and you get a linked citation right here. Okay. It's pretty much the same for the rest of it. I hope you got you were able to understand. And here there is one important step before this that I couldn't show because I'd already set up the Word document, which is before you start citing, if you haven't used it on this Word document already, it will ask you which style you want to use. So if you're using APA, are you using Chicago? Are you using ASA, right? MLA, whatever, depending on your field. Before you start working on the Word document, Zotero, the moment you hit on cite, it will ask you which style do you want to use. So here I'm using Chicago or the date style, right? So it's like the author, year, and page number. So you can use whichever style that you prefer that works for your field. Okay, so that's about in-text citations. Now there's a quick addition that I want to make regarding quick bibliography. Sometimes you don't need to make in-text citations. You've already done your citations. You don't want Zotero to do it for you. You just need to copy paste bibliographies. That can definitely be done. All you have to do is go to Zotero, choose all of your resources, right click, create bibliography from items, choose your style. Okay, come down again, go back to your Word document. I swear. Go back to your Word document and then copy paste. So you have your references right there. Yes, the same can be done with Google Docs as well. Google Docs also has a Zotero integrator. But I have seen Google Docs that connector was beta. So like it didn't work as well for me. It was glitchy a little bit. So yeah, I'd prefer working on MS Word for this. Okay, so finally, now that the quick bibliography is done, now comes the real magic, right? So I've cited Jean-Francois, I've cited Tobin, I've cited the webinar. Maybe I want to cite Karina, for instance. Homo Eva, right? I'm citing this. Then I want to cite what else is left? The report, the Tahia's report. Right, so I've cited everything. Get rid of this. Now I just want, sometimes what happens now, this is just a small paragraph. So you'll just see, oh, I've cited this. So I will just put references based on, by choosing the correct articles. But sometimes you don't cite all of your articles, right? You just need to connect what you have cited to what you're referencing. Sometimes if you miss something that you've in-text cited in your references, that's not good practice. Or sometimes if you put something in your references that's not your in-text citation, that is also not good practice, right? So where Zotero comes in here is that it links your citations to your references. So there is an exact correspondence between your citations and references, and I'll show that right now. So I click on Add Edit Bibliography, and automatically you get all the bibliography that you have cited here, right? So whatever you have cited as in-text citations, the references only for those will come at the end of your document. And they will also be formatted in the right hanging indent format. So it'll look perfect. You don't need to do any other formatting except for, changing the font here, because I was using Calibri elsewhere. Just going to use Calibri here. And that's it. Okay, it's not okay for some reason. Anyway. So yeah, that really is it. I hope you understood how that worked. If you have any questions, you can ask me right now. If not, we can go straight into the practice activity. It'll only take like 10 to 15 minutes. We started a little late, so I guess we're running a little late as well. So if you have any questions, you can quickly drop them in the...
I'm wondering how do you, so if you start a citation for say a journal article or something, and then at the end you want to delete it, somehow I can't delete mine. Could you show us how to delete?
Yes. Oh yeah. It doesn't get deleted very quickly, but you just have to select the whole thing and click on delete.
No, I mean when you do it in the library as like
Right. In the library. Okay.
Yes, in the library when you have listed. Yeah, so if I were
Mhm.
to delete one of these, how would
Yeah, you
I?
can do that. You can definitely do that. All you do is right click, move item to trash. I'm not moving it to
Somehow the
trash.
right click thing is not working for me. I don't know if something's wrong with my this thing.
Oh, it should work. It should work. But perhaps I'll open the breakout rooms now, and perhaps we can have any
Okay.
specific questions that I can help you with. Yeah. So I'll quickly share the practice activity, right? Quickly share the practice activity with you on the chat box, and you can just take a look at it. All right, guys. I think you should get the link right now.
Can you also add the link on the? Oh yeah, it's in the chat.
So you can just download it, use it as a MS Word doc. I would suggest doing that. I've given you edit access. I'm opening rooms, and you can have randomly assigned participants, and you can work together. So I hope that activity was useful. If you weren't able to finish it, that's okay. You can just take it and practice later on, I guess, if you want. Any questions, any stumbling blocks that you came across? What were the tough parts? What were the easier parts?
Um, I'm amazed, more than confused. That has not happened before. I didn't know it was possible, and I've wasted too much time in the last 4 years of my life, is what I've realized. Because I used to manually do everything, each citation, both index and the references. So this is pretty cool.
Great, great. Yeah, I mean, I promised you as much, so I'm glad that that's the outcome also. But as far as the activity goes, you guys are done, no?
Yes.
Okay, great. And you managed to do the in-text citation and the reference linking as well?
Yes, it worked.
Okay, and that worked. It didn't work? Okay, I mean, if it hasn't worked, we can take this forward um, outside of this session also. Okay, so that's the end of the session. Thank you so much for attending this and for staying on for an extra 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you so much for your time. I will reach out to you for a post-session feedback survey as well. So that'll be the last thing that you have to do. And I hope you got something useful out of this session, out of this 1 hour. And thank you so much for joining me. And of course, this is part of a larger effort to make undergraduates' lives easier in their first to second years. So I think that's the broader audience that I'm reaching out to. So if you have any other suggestions for other things that you wish you had known as an undergrad, please reach out to me. And yeah.
I had a question. So Zotero acts as the database, right, for all your PDFs and everything.
Hmm.
So if say I have, so some of them I'm dragging with the PDFs that I've downloaded to my this thing,
Hmm.
but the other ones which I have accessed via the connector or
Hmm.
via UI, do I always need internet to access it, or is it like?
Yes. I mean, if you're using the connector, you definitely need the internet. If you're
Okay.
using the DOI, if you already have it copy pasted, I assume you're using it from the internet because you're getting the DOI from the
Yeah.
internet. If you don't have internet also, the DOI will work,
Okay.
but it won't extract that PDF from that website that you already have access to.
Okay. No. Yeah. No. I just wanted to understand if it serves as a storage system. So, or do we store these files somewhere else, like the ones that we have gotten on?
Oh, so
So
Zotero also stores, you have a separate Zotero file. And
Okay.
if you already have it stored in a different location in your computer, there also will be stored. Sometimes there'll be 2 copies. So you have to make
Okay.
sure that doesn't.
That was my confusion. Yeah, cool.
Okay, guys. So I think I've
Okay.
held you back for long enough. Thank you so much for joining, and yeah, see you soon, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.